Imagine standing at the edge of a sun-scorched desert so vast that the horizon looks like a molten line of gold, trembling under waves of heat, when suddenly the shimmering blur reveals something impossible, an outline so enormous, so geometrically perfect, that your first instinct is to blink and check whether it's a mirage. But it isn't, because as you step closer, the light of the late afternoon stretches across the sand and slowly unveils the colossal structure rising out of the dunes, a megastructure so massive that its shadow alone could cover an entire city, its walls rising like the curved ribs of a sleeping giant half buried in time, its surface textured with layers of glass, metal, sandstone composites, and heat-reflective plating designed not just to survive the desert, but to tame it. You feel the air shift as you approach the entrance, an opening tall enough to swallow skyscrapers, where a constant veil of cool mist drifts out from inside, instantly softening the desert heat around your skin. If you listen closely, you can hear the distant hum of turbines, the subtle pulse of air circulation systems, the deep mechanical breath of a living machine built to shelter thousands of people from a desert so hostile that daytime temperatures could melt plastic and nighttime winds could strip flesh from bone. As you step inside, crossing from burning sunlight into a dim, cool corridor that stretches farther than your eyes can follow, you realize that this place wasn't designed simply as a refuge. It was built as a world of its own, a fully sealed civilization engineered to thrive where nothing else could. A place where entire ecosystems, cities, rivers, and transit networks exist under one continuous shell. And as your footsteps echo softly on the polished floor, you begin to wonder, what would it actually be like to live your whole life inside a colossal desert megastructure, waking up every morning beneath artificial skies, relying on technology for every breath, every drop of water, every sunrise? Tonight, let's take a slow, immersive journey through this impossible creation, exploring how it works, how people survive here, what daily life feels like, and what hidden systems quietly support a niche. Entire civilization sealed away from the unforgiving desert outside. So settle in, breathe deeply, and imagine wandering through one of the most extraordinary environments humanity could ever build. Before you can understand what life inside a colossal desert megastructure truly feels like, you need to understand the story of why it exists in the first place. Because no civilization wakes up one morning and casually decides to build an artificial world in the middle of the most hostile environment on Earth. It usually begins with desperation, vision, or both. In this case, it started decades ago, during a period when expanding cities across the world began running out of space, resources, and stability, and scientists turned their attention to regions long considered uninhabitable, vast deserts where temperatures soared, sandstorms raged, and nothing survived for long without incredible effort. The idea was bold. Instead of fighting the desert, they would build above it, around it, and through it, sealing off a portion of the landscape and turning it into a controlled internal environment capable of supporting human life indefinitely. What began as a theoretical concept soon became an international collaboration, pulling together climatologists, engineers, architects, and energy specialists who dreamed of creating sustainable mega-habitats, structures so massive that they could house tens of thousands of people, recycle every resource internally, and protect entire communities from the increasingly unpredictable climate outside. The blueprint called for materials that didn't exist yet, so research centers around the world developed new composite alloys and transparent armor glass capable of reflecting solar radiation while maintaining structural integrity during sandstorms with wind speeds over 100 miles per hour. The foundation alone required deep anchors drilled into the desert bedrock to prevent the structure from shifting under waves of migrating sand. and the exterior shell was designed with layers of thermal shielding, heat dissipation channels, and curved aerodynamic shapes that redirected sand flow rather than absorbing it. Inside, climate engineers analyzed the delicate balance required to create stable temperatures, breathable air, and artificial humidity, designing a vast internal ecosystem that could support plants, animals, and humans in harmony. It took decades of planning, experimentation, and small-scale prototypes before the first colossal structure finally rose above the dunes. A breathtaking fusion of science and architecture, built not just as a shelter, but as a demonstration of what humanity could achieve when forced to imagine survival on a whole new scale. And even though the desert outside continued to shift and roar, inside the megastructure, a new world quietly awakened, preparing to welcome its first residents and usher them into a life unlike anything humanity had ever experienced before. From the outside, the colossal desert megastructure looks less like a building and more like an artificial horizon, an engineered landscape of gleaming curves, ridges, and layered surfaces that stretch so far across the sand that you can walk for hours without ever reaching the opposite end, and yet the entire structure feels surprisingly organic, as though it grew out of the desert itself. Its base extends deep into the ground, forming a foundation anchored into bedrock with titanium carbide pillars that descend like roots, designed to prevent the entire megastructure from shifting as dunes migrate and powerful sandstorms sweep across the region. The exterior shell rises from this foundation in sweeping arcs built from panels of heat-reflective, solar-absorbent alloy that shimmer like liquid metal under direct sunlight, turning golden in the morning, silver at midday, and deep copper at dusk. These panels overlap like scales, each one designed to deflect wind, channel sand downward, and distribute heat evenly so no single section becomes dangerously hot. When you walk along the outer perimeter, you can hear the faint whisper of sand sliding over the curved surfaces, redirected by aerodynamics that mimic desert organisms, lizards, beetles, and plants that evolved to survive extreme heat by minimizing friction and exposure. Towering ventilation spires rise from the top of the structure, shaped like slender fins that slice through the sky, drawing hot desert air upward and releasing cool air from within, creating a gentle upward convection that pulls wind away from the walls. From a distance, these spires make the megastructure resemble an enormous fossilized creature lying beneath the sun, its spines catching the wind, while the arched shell beneath protects everything inside. Embedded into the surface are thousands of photovoltaic tiles, arranged like a mosaic, harvesting energy during the day and glowing faintly at night as internal power systems redistribute excess electricity. Around the structure's edges, massive access gates, rarely used except for maintenance, stand as tall as skyscrapers, sealed with reinforced composite doors that can withstand both intense heat and the violent pressure of desert storms. Despite its scale, the structure's curves are smooth, gentle, and almost calming to look at, creating the impression of a serene, sleeping giant perfectly at rest in an otherwise chaotic environment. And as the sun slowly sets behind it, casting long shadows across the sand, the megastructure transforms into a glowing monolith whose inner lights pulse softly through translucent sections of the shell, reminding anyone who sees it that a living world exists within, an entire civilization breathing quietly behind those impossibly large walls. Once you step deeper into the megastructure, leaving behind the dim entrance corridor and entering the first vast internal chamber, the most striking realization is how effortlessly the climate shifts around you, transitioning from the harsh, burning desert into an environment that feels carefully curated, almost impossibly gentle, as if the air itself had been designed with intention. This is the internal climate system, a silent symphony of engineering that maintains stable conditions across. An enclosed world large enough to contain neighborhoods, farmlands, forests, and artificial lakes. Above you, the ceiling stretches hundreds of feet high, lined with arrays of adaptive panels that mimic the behavior of clouds, opening and closing in slow, coordinated movements to filter sunlight, regulate temperature, and diffuse brightness so the interior always feels like a calm, late morning. Never too bright, never too dim, always balanced. Hidden behind the walls, thousands of air circulation tunnels work continuously, drawing in filtered desert air, scrubbing it with multi-stage purification systems, and releasing it back into the environment with measured humidity, ensuring the air never becomes dry enough to irritate your throat or humid enough to feel heavy. Temperature sensors embedded in the floor tiles adjust climate zone by zone, maintaining comfortable warmth in residential areas, cooler conditions in agricultural sectors, and slightly breezier atmospheres near communal walkways where people gather and move about. Massive condensation towers rise like silent sentinels throughout the structure, extracting moisture from the air, converting it into water, and redistributing it through underground channels that feed rivers, fountains, and reservoirs within the habitat. You might see soft mist drifting from subtle vents placed near the base of these towers, barely noticeable, but enough to remind you that water here is continuously recycled, preserved, and circulated in a closed-loop system that wastes nothing. Artificial winds glide through the megastructure at scheduled intervals, gently stirring leaves, moving through boulevards, and creating the soft rustling sounds that keep the environment from feeling still or artificial. Every hour, the lighting panels above simulate the shifting color tones of natural daylight. Soft amber in the early internal morning, warmer white at noon, and gentle blue-gray in the evening, giving residents a sense of time, rhythm, and psychological comfort in a world with no real sky. And perhaps the most impressive detail is something you may not even notice at first: the faint scent of vegetation carried through the air, produced by natural biofilters built into parks and green corridors, which act as living lungs for the structure, absorbing carbon dioxide and releasing fresh oxygen that blends seamlessly with the climate system. Standing here, with cool air brushing across your face and diffused sunlight illuminating the vast interior, it becomes clear that this megastructure isn't just a shelter from the desert. It is an entire atmosphere crafted from scratch, a place where climate exists by design, responding, adapting, and breathing along with the people who call it home. At the heart of the megastructure's survival lies a network of life support systems so vast and interconnected that, although mostly hidden from view, they quietly sustain every living thing inside, ensuring that water, energy, and essential resources are constantly recycled, renewed, and redistributed in a delicate balance. And the deeper you explore, the more you begin to appreciate how remarkable it is that an enclosed world in the middle of a barren desert can function with such seamless efficiency. The water system, for example, begins with enormous underground reservoirs carved directly into the bedrock, where purified water is stored at cool temperatures that prevent evaporation and maintain mineral balance. These reservoirs are fed by a combination of desalination processes for coastal structures, deep well extraction for inland ones, and most importantly, atmospheric condensation towers that pull moisture from the air, capturing even the tiniest droplets and converting them into steady streams of clean water. Once inside the system, every drop is monitored by sensors that track flow, purity, pH levels, and volume, redirecting water to agricultural zones, residential districts, cooling units, and artificial lakes. Wastewater never truly becomes waste because it passes through multi-layered filtration arrays, bioreactors filled with microorganisms, carbon filters, UV sterilizers, and mineral rebalancing modules before being returned to the cycle as fresh, drinkable water. Energy production is equally impressive, relying on a hybrid grid designed to withstand desert extremes. Solar fields installed on the megastructure's outer shell absorb immense amounts of sunlight during the day, storing excess energy in high-density battery cores located deep beneath the surface, while thermoelectric panels harvest heat differentials between the scorching exterior and the cool interior. Complementing the solar network are geothermal conduits that tap into Earth's natural heat, providing stable, round-the-clock energy for essential systems like climate regulation, lighting, irrigation, and transportation. Inside the structure, subtle signs of this complex energy web appear in the form of glowing pathways that light up as you walk beneath them, soft pulses of illumination that trace energy flow through the floors, and gentle hums that resonate through the walls as turbines and converters adjust output. Resource sustainability is woven into every aspect of daily life. Organic waste from kitchens and agricultural zones is processed into nutrient-rich soil supplements. Packaging materials are constructed from biodegradable composites, and nearly everything used by residents is designed for long-term reuse. Even the food supply is managed through controlled environment agriculture, vertical farms stacked hundreds of feet high, hydroponic gardens fed by nutrient solutions, and climate-stabilized orchards that provide fruits, grains, and vegetables year-round. Standing near one of these life support hubs, you begin to notice how quiet the entire system is, not because it lacks complexity, but because every component is engineered to function efficiently with minimal noise, heat, or disruption. It becomes clear that while the desert outside is a symbol of harshness and scarcity, life inside the megastructure is defined by abundance carefully managed, a self-sustaining cycle where every resource is accounted for, preserved, and transformed into something new, ensuring that the entire enclosed world can thrive for generations without ever depending on the unstable conditions beyond its colossal walls. As you wander deeper into the megastructure, something quietly extraordinary begins to unfold around you. The air grows richer with the scent of vegetation, the lighting softens into gentle hues of green and gold, and faint sounds, rustling leaves, distant water, soft chirps, echo through the corridors, revealing that the interior is not just a technological marvel, but a carefully cultivated ecosystem designed to mimic the subtle rhythms of nature. The first glimpse of this becomes visible when you reach one of the green corridors. Long, sweeping passages lined with living walls of ferns, mosses, and flowering plants that climb toward the ceiling in a controlled vertical garden, absorbing carbon dioxide, releasing oxygen, and filtering the air through their natural metabolic processes. Walking through these corridors feels less like being inside a megastructure and more like strolling through a greenhouse suspended in the desert sky. Eventually, the passage opens into one of the megastructure's internal biomes, vast domed environments where artificial rivers flow gently over smooth stones, winding past clusters of trees whose leaves sway in the mild, engineered breeze. These biomes vary in design. Some replicate temperate forests with towering synthetic skylights, casting cool, dappled light over the ground, while others mimic tropical microclimates with humidity-controlled air and dense canopies that fill the space with warm, earthy fragrances. Every plant has been selected with purpose. Hardy species capable of thriving under artificial cycles, oxygen-rich vegetation designed for optimal air purification, and fruit-bearing trees cultivated to support the internal food supply. Nestled among them are carefully managed pools, shallow ponds with rippling surfaces that reflect the artificial sky above, and streams that trickle softly, their flow calibrated to maintain natural water sounds that soothe the mind and create a calming atmosphere for residents. Small clusters of wildlife, mostly harmless, human-introduced species such as insects, small birds, and amphibians, coexist within these biomes, contributing to pollination, soil mixing, and ecological balance. Paths wind through each environment with soft, cushioned ground layers that absorb footsteps, enhancing the peaceful illusion of walking through a secluded natural world far removed from the harsh desert outside. Overhead, adaptive lighting panels shift gradually throughout the day, simulating sunrise, midday brightness, and the warm, gentle glow of sunset, helping maintain circadian rhythms for residents who spend their entire lives beneath an artificial sky. And at night, when the lights dim into soft bluish tones, firefly-like bioluminescent modules flicker faintly among the plants, making the paths glow in delicate patterns that guide nighttime walkers. These ecosystems aren't merely decorative. They are the lungs, water regulators, psychological sanctuaries, and renewable food contributors of the entire megastructure, forming a living membrane between residents and the engineered environment they depend on. Standing in one of these lush biomes, surrounded by greenery and gentle synthetic sunlight, you might easily forget that beyond the shell lies a barren landscape of blistering heat and endless sand. Here, inside this crafted world, nature has been reimagined, preserved, and allowed to flourish in ways that would be impossible outside, creating a serene refuge for everyone who calls the megastructure home. Living inside the megastructure means waking up each day within an environment so stable and carefully designed that your morning routine becomes a gentle ritual, shaped not by weather, noise, or outside chaos, but by the soft rhythms of an engineered world built for comfort and balance. When residents open their eyes, they are greeted not by harsh sunlight or unpredictable temperatures, but by the quiet glow of artificial dawn, warm, mellow light spreading across the walls and ceilings as the Giko internal sky panels gradually brighten to simulate a slow sunrise. Residential quarters vary in size, but most follow a common pattern: large windows overlooking green corridors or open communal terraces, sound-absorbing floors that give each step a muted softness, and walls embedded with adaptive climate controls that maintain steady, personalized temperatures throughout the day. After rising, residents often begin their mornings with a walk through the interior walkways, broad plant-lined paths where soft breezes circulate from hidden vents, carrying hints of lavender, eucalyptus, or desert sage, depending on the climate cycle of the day. Some choose to sit beside one of the internal rivers, watching the slow movement of the water as it reflects the simulated early morning light, while others gather in communal plazas designed to mimic small-town squares, complete with seating areas, gentle water fountains, and overhead canopies that filter the artificial sun into calming patterns. Transportation within the megastructure is seamless and nearly silent. Magnetic gliders move along elevated tracks with barely a whisper, while slow-moving pedestrian platforms carry residents across long distances without forcing them to hurry or exert themselves. Work life also follows a relaxed flow, as most occupations revolve around maintaining or studying the megastructure's internal systems. Agriculture, climate engineering, education, hydroponics, ecological research, or community management, each one contributing directly to sustaining the enclosed civilization. Even workplaces are designed to feel tranquil, with open layouts, natural lighting, and soundproof partitions that make concentration effortless. Meals are typically sourced from the megastructure's vast agricultural sectors, where fresh produce is harvested daily, ensuring that dining areas can offer nutrient-rich foods grown just minutes away from where they are served. Cafeterias and communal kitchens often overlook gardens, creating a peaceful connection between nourishment and the environment in which it was grown. Throughout the day, residents find time to visit parks, meditation alcoves, indoor observation decks, or learning hubs where they can read, study, or simply enjoy the silence. Recreational activities range from swimming in climate-controlled pools to strolling through biome domes, attending low-sound performances in acoustic halls, or engaging in gentle exercise routines along cushioned tracks. Nighttime brings another shift. The lighting dims, the artificial breeze cools slightly, and the entire megastructure transitions into a serene quiet, marked by soft illumination along pathways and star-pattern projections on select ceiling panels that mimic the night sky, allowing residents to feel connected to the natural world, even though the real desert night lies sealed far beyond the walls. And in this predictable, peaceful routine, daily life inside the megastructure becomes a reflection of its design philosophy. A life without rush, without disruption, without extremes. An existence shaped by stability, where every movement and every breath is supported by a world built to sustain, protect, and quietly enrich the people who call it home. The deeper you move into the megastructure, the more you begin to sense the quiet sophistication of its technological backbone, a vast network of interconnected systems that operate with such seamless precision that most residents hardly notice the engineering marvels sustaining their daily lives. Technology here is not loud, flashy, or intrusive. It is gentle, silent, and intentionally designed to fade into the background, allowing people to experience comfort without ever feeling overwhelmed by machinery. Transit systems offer the clearest example of this philosophy. Elevated magnetic gliders glide through the structure like floating ribbons of light, traveling along curved tracks that wrap around residential blocks, agricultural zones, and biome corridors, each vehicle powered by stable magnetic levitation that produces no friction, no noise, and almost no vibration. Boarding platforms remain open air, shielded only by transparent energy barriers that adjust to temperature and airflow, giving passengers the sensation of standing on a balcony above a miniature city. Beneath the megastructure, a secondary layer of transit tunnels houses cargo drones, maintenance bots, and automated vehicles responsible for transporting supplies, recyclables, harvested crops, and components across the different sectors, everything timed to perfection, so residents seldom notice how much movement actually happens below their feet. Communication technology is equally subtle. Personal interfaces embedded in walls and public kiosks allow residents to access information, medical assistance, educational modules, and navigation maps with a quiet tap or voice command, while holographic projectors provide ambient displays for tasks that require visual clarity, all of them operating on minimal energy with a soft luminescence easy on the eyes. Sensors interlace every corridor, monitoring air quality, crowd flow, noise levels, and temperature, constantly adjusting environmental conditions to maintain a feeling of calm and stability. If too many people gather in one area, the lighting softens and the air cools slightly to prevent discomfort, and if a walkway becomes too empty, gentle signs illuminate to guide lone travelers. Structural integrity systems work around the clock behind the scenes. Seismic dampeners, embedded deep in the foundation, respond instantly to underground vibrations. Sandflow shields adjust angles during storms to redirect pressure, and thermal regulators distribute excess heat from sun-exposed panels to energy storage units, ensuring that every part of the structure remains safe and stable no matter how intense the desert conditions become outside. Even recreational areas incorporate technology in understated ways. Acoustic domes that amplify soft music without speakers, gravity-assisted exercise platforms that reduce joint strain, and interactive botanical displays that teach residents about the ecosystems they walk through. And throughout the megastructure, countless maintenance drones move like tiny silver insects along ceiling rails, conducting repairs, polishing surfaces, tending to climate control panels, and adjusting microfilters with near-invisible grace. You rarely hear them, rarely see more than a flicker of motion overhead, yet they form the lifeline of the entire infrastructure. Standing on one of the elevated walkways, as a silent glider passes by, its lights glowing gently while a transparent tunnel curves gracefully around you, it becomes clear that life inside the megastructure is supported not by loud machines or overwhelming futuristic displays, but by a layered symphony of unobtrusive innovation, technology that feels almost alive, adapting quietly to the needs of the people it shelters, creating an environment where the artificial becomes indistinguishable from the natural rhythm of everyday life. Over time, life inside the megastructure shaped a culture unlike anything that exists in the outside world. A gentle blend of routine, introspection, cooperation, and calm communal living that emerged naturally from the enclosed environment and its steady, predictable rhythms. Because when thousands of people live within the same protective shell, shielded from harsh climates and external noise, their social habits evolve toward harmony and interdependence, much like the ecosystem surrounding them. The sense of community begins with the architecture itself. Residential districts are built around open courtyards filled with gardens and water features, where neighbors gather in the mornings to read, stretch, or simply listen to the soft ambient sounds generated by the artificial breeze. These areas become social hubs where conversations unfold slowly and naturally, without the rush or tension often found in cities outside. Schools and learning centers emphasize exploration, ecology, and cooperative problem-solving, teaching children not only the academic foundations they need, but also how to live symbiotically with the artificial environment supporting them, fostering a sense of responsibility toward both technology and nature. Communal kitchens and dining halls, with their warm lighting and long tables, encourage residents to eat together, sharing fresh produce harvested daily from the agricultural sectors. Mealtimes become moments of connection, where people from different districts gather to exchange stories, discuss new projects, or simply enjoy the peaceful atmosphere. Art and creativity flourish as well, supported by studios where residents paint, sculpt, write, and compose music, inspired by the contrast between the desert outside and the lush, curated world within. Some artists create large-scale murals that blend natural motifs with geometric patterns, reminiscent of the megastructure's outer shell, while musicians perform soft acoustic concerts in acoustic domes, engineered to carry sound gently across a space without overwhelming volume. Cultural celebrations follow a similar spirit, quiet, reflective, community-centered, often held under the structure's simulated evening sky, where lights dim into soft blues and purples, and star-patterned projections shimmer overhead like constellations from a world no one inside has seen directly in years. Instead of traditional holidays centered around seasons, residents adopt new traditions tied to the internal cycles of the megastructure. The annual blooming week, when rare flowers open across the biomes. The day of reflection, when all artificial noon light is slightly dimmed to encourage meditation. And the Founders Walk, a slow procession through the interior corridors in honor of the engineers, scientists, and visionaries who built the structure. Social relationships tend to form slowly but deeply, influenced by the calm environment and the shared understanding that everyone depends on the same systems for survival. Arguments are rare, thanks to conflict resolution centers and communal forums designed to promote discussion and empathy. And although the megastructure is technologically advanced, life inside remains human at its core, defined not by machines, but by the small, meaningful interactions that repeat day after day. A neighbor waving across a terrace, a child feeding fish in a biosphere pond, groups practicing Tai Chi in the morning light, or families gathering in observation halls to watch the artificial sunset reflect over the internal river. It is a society shaped by balance, quietness, and a collective awareness that their world is both fragile and extraordinary. An enclosed civilization that thrives not despite its isolation, but because of the peaceful culture it nurtures within its colossal walls. The economy inside the megastructure developed in a way that mirrors the harmony of its environment. slow-paced, cooperative, and built on the idea that every resident contributes to the well-being of the enclosed world, not through competition or urgency, but through steady, meaningful work that supports the stability of the entire system. Unlike outside societies driven by markets, advertising, and constant consumption, the megastructure's economy functions on a resource cycle model in which every task is tied directly to maintaining, improving, or studying the systems that sustain life within the desert shell. Many residents work in agricultural sectors, tending to vertical farms, hydroponic fields, botanical chambers, and orchards, where the quiet sounds of running water, soft lights, and steady growth create a soothing rhythm to the day. Their work ensures a constant supply of fresh produce and nutrients, making food security one of the strongest pillars of the internal economy. Others specialize in environmental engineering, climate regulation, or ecological research, monitoring air quality, adjusting humidity levels, studying plant behavior, and ensuring that every section of the megastructure remains perfectly balanced. Maintenance crews, though rarely seen thanks to their efficient workflows, play a crucial role in inspecting energy conduits, reinforcing structural supports, repairing solar arrays, and fine-tuning the magnetic gliders that form the backbone of the internal transit system. Healthcare, education, and community management are equally essential contributions. Doctors and wellness specialists operate in calm, softly lit medical centers where both physical and mental health are treated with a holistic approach. Teachers guide students through lessons that blend ecology, engineering, and art, and community coordinators organize events, meditative gatherings, and cultural celebrations that strengthen the social fabric of the enclosed world. Even administrative roles feel gentler here, focused less on bureaucracy and more on facilitating cooperation between districts, ensuring fair distribution of resources, and maintaining transparency between residents and those overseeing the structure's long-term functionality. Creativity also holds economic value. Artists craft murals inspired by internal landscapes. Engineers collaborate with designers to build new sensory installations. And storytellers document memories, innovations, and personal histories that preserve the cultural identity of the megastructure. Currency exists, but it moves slowly and simply, used mainly for personal items, luxuries, or specialized tools. Most essential needs, food, shelter, energy, education, and basic materials, are guaranteed for every resident through the collective resource system. Instead of a society driven by accumulation, the megastructure thrives on contribution, with each person understanding that their work supports the stability of the entire environment. And because the artificial conditions eliminate the stress of weather, scarcity, and external economic fluctuations, people have the time and emotional energy to focus on learning, refining their skills, or pursuing passions that enrich the community. Walking through the megastructure, you can sense this equilibrium everywhere, from the steady hum of energy systems to the quiet collaboration in communal workshops, to the peaceful exchanges in agricultural halls where residents gather to package fresh produce. It becomes clear that the economy inside this desert habitat is not built on speed or pressure, but on sustainability, interdependence, and a shared commitment to keeping the enclosed world thriving for generations to come. For all its stability, beauty, and engineered harmony, life inside the megastructure is not without risks, subtle, often invisible challenges that arise not from chaos or conflict, but from the delicate balance that keeps this artificial world functioning. And although residents rarely feel afraid, they live with a quiet understanding that their safety depends on a complex network of systems that must work perfectly, day after day, without interruption. One of the greatest risks is structural stress. The desert outside is relentless, with shifting dunes that can press against the outer shell, sudden temperature swings that expand and contract materials, and sandstorms powerful enough to pummel the exterior for hours at a time. While the megastructure is engineered to withstand these forces, long-term pressure causes microfractures that must be monitored constantly by drones and seismic sensors embedded deep within the walls. Even minor failures, if left unchecked, could spread across panels or conduits, creating vulnerabilities that technicians must repair with precision. Another subtle challenge is air balance. Despite the efficiency of the climate system, maintaining perfect levels of humidity, oxygen, temperature, and particulate purity across such a massive enclosed environment requires continuous calculation. If one sector's air handling system were to malfunction, the effects could ripple into adjacent districts, causing discomfort, dehydration, or in extreme scenarios, localized cold or heat pockets. Water systems present their own hidden risks, because although water is endlessly recycled, contamination from a single overlooked component could disrupt the delicate purification cycle, forcing entire reservoirs offline. This is why technicians perform constant chemical checks, and bioreactors housing microbial filters are inspected daily to ensure no harmful bacteria slip into the reservoirs. Energy storage and distribution also demand constant attention. The desert sun provides abundant power, but if a prolonged period of dust storms were to dim the solar intake, the megastructure would rely heavily on its underground thermal reserves and battery cores. Engineers simulate these scenarios regularly to prepare for disruptions, ensuring residents never feel the strain of potential shortages. Psychological risks exist as well, subtle and less visible, but no less important. For some, the absence of a true sky, open horizon, or natural weather can create a quiet sense of displacement, a longing for unpredictability or the vastness of the outside world. To counter this, the megastructure's designers built observation halls where residents can view real-time sky projections of the desert above, watching sandstorms, sunsets, and clouds in motion, all streamed from armored cameras installed along the exterior. And finally, there is the ever-present dependency on the megastructure itself, a recognition that everything, from water and food to climate and light, is artificial, engineered, controlled. Unlike traditional cities that can rebuild after storms or access resources from far away, this enclosed world exists as a closed loop. A single major failure, though highly unlikely, could threaten the stability of the entire environment. Yet it is this awareness that fosters deep cooperation among residents and a culture of respect for the systems sustaining them. Rather than fear, the megastructure inspires mindfulness, a shared understanding that their home is a masterpiece of engineering that must be cared for collectively, quietly reminding them that even within a world built for comfort, fragility is always part of the design. As the decades pass and life inside the megastructure continues to evolve, the question that quietly lingers in the minds of scientists, planners, and residents alike is, what comes next? The enclosed world they inhabit is already a remarkable achievement, an engineered ecosystem capable of sustaining thousands of people within one of the harshest environments on Earth. But the future of the megastructure stretches far beyond simply maintaining what already exists. Many researchers envision an era of expansion, where additional modules extend from the main shell like petals on a blooming flower, each one designed with specialized purposes: agricultural extensions to increase food production, botanical annexes to grow rare species, or research wings dedicated to studying desert weather patterns and atmospheric chemistry. Some proposals imagine connecting multiple megastructures across the desert with underground transit tunnels, forming a vast network of enclosed cities where residents could travel safely between habitats without ever being exposed to the blistering heat above. Others explore the idea of vertical expansion, adding upper layers that rise above the central dome and serve as observation decks, astronomical centers, or energy towers that push efficiency even higher by capturing sunlight from elevated platforms. Technological advancements may one day allow the internal climate system to become self-correcting, capable of learning from environmental patterns and adjusting temperatures, humidity, and light cycles without human intervention. A truly living atmosphere that evolves alongside its residents. There is also growing interest in enhancing internal biodiversity. Researchers speculate that future biomes could introduce new species of plants and microfauna specifically engineered to thrive in controlled environments, increasing ecological resilience and transforming the internal landscape into an even richer tapestry of natural life. Some dream of expanding the megastructure's boundaries outward, gradually terraforming small regions of the surrounding desert with moisture capture nets, shade canopies, and soil-binding root systems that could encourage pockets of green to grow beyond the walls. Though still theoretical, these ideas spark hope that one day the desert itself might slowly shift from barren to fertile. Social evolution is expected too, as new generations grow up, never having experienced the outside world directly. Their customs, art, architecture, and even language may develop unique variations shaped entirely by life inside the enclosed environment. And while the megastructure remains deeply connected to global research communities, many residents foresee a future where their city becomes a model for sustainable living. An example that inspires similar habitats in Arctic regions, coastal flood zones, or regions facing extreme weather due to climate change. Yet perhaps the most meaningful vision of the future lies not in expansion or technological sophistication, but in the quiet hope shared among residents. The desire to preserve the delicate balance that keeps their world thriving, to maintain the serenity and interconnectedness that define their way of life. Whether the megastructure grows into a network of enclosed cities or remains a single monumental refuge, its future will continue to blend science, ecology, human cooperation, and imagination, proving that even in the most unforgiving landscapes, humanity can create spaces of harmony, resilience, and gentle beauty. As your journey through the colossal desert megastructure draws to a close, you may find yourself reflecting on how extraordinary it is that such a place can exist. An entire world, crafted by human hands, sealed beneath a protective shell, yet alive with the gentle rhythms of nature, community, and innovation. From the moment you first stepped through the towering entrance, leaving behind the scorching brightness of the desert, you entered a realm where every detail, from the filtered light in the morning corridors to the soft hum of magnetic gliders overhead, was designed not only for survival, but for comfort, balance, and peace. You wandered through lush internal forests where leaves whispered in an artificial breeze, walked beside rivers formed from recycled water, and felt the warmth of a carefully calibrated sun that shines without ever scorching. You witnessed the quiet precision of the life support systems, the seamless flow of energy and resources, the unobtrusive yet powerful technologies working behind the scenes to ensure every breath of air remains fresh and every drop of water moves through the cycle unbroken. And as you explored the daily life of residents, people who rise gently with the simulated dawn, share meals crafted from crops grown just a few corridors away, and gather beneath artificial skylights that mimic the slow fading colors of sunset, you glimpsed a society shaped not by urgency, conflict, or unpredictability, but by connection, intention, and a shared responsibility for the world they inhabit. This megastructure, despite its enormous scale and breathtaking engineering, is ultimately a testament to the human desire to create sanctuary, a place where even in the middle of an unforgiving desert, life can be soft, stable, and filled with quiet beauty. Perhaps what makes it most remarkable is not the technology or the architecture, but the way everything works together. plants, people, water, air, light, and countless invisible systems weaving into a harmonious whole that feels almost organic, as if the structure itself were gently breathing alongside those who live within it. As you picture one last scene, perhaps standing on an elevated walkway at night, watching the soft blue glow of the ceiling panels shimmer like stars above an artificial river, you may sense a deep calm settle in, an understanding that even the most extreme environments can hold space for serenity when shaped with care. And as the lights gradually dim across this world, signaling the transition to its internal night cycle, imagine yourself taking a slow, final breath, letting the quiet of this engineered oasis wash over you. Whether you return to this megastructure again in your imagination, or simply carry a piece of its tranquility with you, may the sense of calm and wonder it inspires stay with you long after the journey ends. Thank you for exploring this enclosed desert world. May the rest of your night be just as peaceful, steady, and beautifully quiet.